It's turned into a real summer spectacle.
It's like a big party.
We see, grandparents and just every single possible demographic shows up for this race, which is really cool.
There's a little of something for everybody.
What better way to kick off Independence Day than with a local 4-miler? Well, sure, you can do that a lot of places, but today we're going to learn about the Independence Day race in a quintessential New England locale. It's a small city, a little bit off the beaten path, with a big running history and culture. In fact, it's the hometown of the man with more Boston Marathon wins than anyone. It's also a hidden gem of outdoor activities with plenty of adventure awaiting you after the race. Where is that? Well, it's Keene, New Hampshire, and we're going there today on the Race and Explore New England podcast.
This is the Race and Explore New England podcast, your place to discover the races, explore the places, and find your adventure. Now, here's Chad.
Welcome. Today we're headed to 4 on the 4th, the annual Independence Day 4-miler in Keene, New Hampshire. Now, Keene is located in the southwest corner of the state in what's called the Monadnock Region. It's called that because of the dominant geographical feature in the area, Mount Monadnock. You can hike it, and we'll talk more about that later. 4 on the 4th has been an Independence Day tradition in Keene for 25 years now, and it has really turned into a major community event. In this episode, you'll hear from race director Ted McGreer, who explains how this race is equal parts a running event and your first 4th of July party of the day. Ted will also explain how this race benefits the local rail trail network and why those trails make Keene a special place to live and play. We'll also hear from 4 on the 4th participant Amanda Paul. Amanda has run the race. She's a member of SCORE's running club in Keene, so she's also helped support the event through the club. She's also a competitive ultra runner who knows a lot about one of Keene's best-kept running secrets, and that's a series of trail networks where you can enjoy top-notch trail running right there in the city. Finally, in our visitor's guide, we'll dive deep into those trail systems and show you other opportunities to bike, hike, and even paddle in Keene. All of the things that make it a real hidden gem. You'll want to stick around for that. The story of 4 on the 4th really began 25 years ago when local businessman Ted McGreer and the Pathways for Keene organization decided to revive a predecessor event as a fundraiser for Pathways' rail trail building program.
There was a sporting goods store in Keene called Joe Jones back in the 80s, and they started putting on this little event called the 4 on the 4th. And it would garner 30, 40, 50 people and run the race. When Joe Jones kind of downsized and they ended up inevitably leaving Keene, the race was sunsetted, and it hadn't come back for probably 10 years or so. When I opened my retail store here on Main Street in 1999, I was, I'm a run store, a footwear store, and focused on runners' experiences in our community and just wanted to give back. So I had met with a board of people from this organization, nonprofit here in town called Pathways for Keene. And this nonprofit is basically raises funds to help expand the trail system within our city limits. So this board was looking for new members and was looking for ways to raise money. And they had a small race at Ashuelot River Park here in town that had about 14 runners their first year. I don't think they ever broke even. And I said, hey, I want to bring back this race called 4 on the 4th. And so in 2001, we brought it back. And it's kind of really, with the exception of the COVID year, which we had to cancel, it has really blossomed into a pretty cool community event.
And that event feel is what makes this race different. It's not just a race. Take it from Amanda.
From a participant perspective, it's like a big party.
That party happens at Railroad Square, right on Keene's iconic Main Street. The race begins and ends right there on Railroad Street. In the square itself, there's a festival set up. You've got tents set up from running clubs, community groups, a photo booth. Of course, Pathways for Keene is there with information and trail maps. And then there's the runners and walkers who show up in their 4th of July finest.
Thousands of people downtown, kids, runners, walkers, music. It's kind of an expo at the same time. Lots and lots of giveaways. It's a pretty cool vibe on July 4th morning right here on Main Street in downtown Keene.
As a spectator, it's great to watch everybody. It's they're all, the runners are all dressed up. A lot of the spectators dress up. You can walk it, you can run the course. But I think also in the perspective of like just being down there with everybody else who is, celebrating the holiday. And usually it's a hot weekend. So I know as like a representative from Scores, we always give out like popsicles and stuff like that. So there's a little of something for everybody.
We have the most festive costumes. We have these three gals that walk together that get red, white, and blue tutus and socks and blinky lights. And it's just such a patriotic vibe all day long. It's really been great.
Here's the race report on 4 on the 4th. It's 4 miles, and there is both a walk and a run. Walkers step off a half hour before the runners. Strollers are allowed, but no dogs. You'll have to leave your four-legged friends at home. Ted and Amanda are going to tell us more about the course, but first here's an insider tip. In the first quarter of a mile of this race, the race turns onto a section of the rail trail. It can get congested until the pack sorts out a little bit, so if you're running for time, consider lining up as far forward as you feel comfortable at the start.
Yeah, we really wanted to utilize the trails that we raise money for sure. So we start right here on Main Street at Railroad Square, which is kind of a nice start and finish area. It heads out on the rail trail, Industrial Heritage Trail. It goes out to Optical Avenue Extension, which a lot of people won't know about it, but it's a pretty flat course. It does at mile 2, it does a turnaround. We have a little water station out there. We've had bands out there at mile 2 in the past. We've had water sprinklers depending on the heat. And then it spins around and comes back on the rail trail. So it finishes right back at Railroad Square where it started.
It starts and finishes at the same place, which is pretty cool for a spectator's perspective because you're going to see people coming and going, and you finish at Railroad Square and everybody's there, and it's really exciting. It's a good race.
It's a sneaky little rail trail because, the first mile is a little kind of subliminal uphill, and a lot of people go out way too hard. And if you can kind of save some gas, for mile 2 and bring it home faster and have some negative splits, you're going to be pretty good. So yeah, it has a tendency to take people out in that first mile. You don't even realize you're going uphill, but it's just enough of an incline to kind of catch up with you.
I would say just with any race under 4 miles, you gotta pace yourself correctly.
Speaking of pace, if you want to test yourself against some good competition, 4 on the 4th will give you that opportunity, and that's because of Keene's running culture and history.
Well, at Keene High School's head coach, David Goldsmith, has been coaching at the high school for over 40 years. Numerous state champions have come out of this high school region and national champions. And then Keene State College just is known as a running mecca for a D3 program here in town. So we do have significant heritage of some pretty elite level runners. And then let's not forget good old Clarence DeMar, whose namesake is the marathon in September, who won the Boston Marathon 7 times and lived right here in Keene. So, Keene's kind of a bowl, right? And so everything goes up. So, your training is a lot of hills in this town. So inevitably we get a lot of fast people for sure.
But don't let that scare you if you're not super competitive. Yes, you can run to win. Yes, you can shoot for a PR, but plenty of participants just run for fun.
There's the front of the pack of the people who are like really going out there to, see if they can do a new PR. A lot of them are track athletes or just like really like elite runners for like, the local area. But then you've got like the mid-pack people who are trying to maybe make a goal out of this race. And then you got the back of the pack people who this may be their first 4 miler, or they just came off of a 5K and now they're going to try this distance. So there's a little of everybody out there that are doing the race.
When the race is over, that's when the party really begins. There are awards and prizes for overall winners and age group winners. And over the years, Ted and his team have added lots of other fun events and prizes for everyone.
We have a DJ that's there with music in the background, and it is just a party. And, we've had a limbo contest, hot dog eating contest, dance off. I think we gave away a case of wine to the best adult, dancer. Somebody was doing the worm across the brick courtyard, which is like unbelievable. But I think $4,000 in gift certificates and prizes that we give out. So it is really worthy of spending $30 supporting your local rail trail system and coming down and just having a really, really great time.
And they give away a lot of stuff during this race, and you don't have to be a runner to get prizes.
Really, no one walks away empty-handed at this event. One reason for that is the participation of grocery giant UNFI. For several years, UNFI has brought a literal truckload of snacks and goodies to send racers home with. You could stock up for your cookout later in the day as you leave the race.
They show up with pallets upon pallets of stuff. We have, 15, 20 volunteers, cutting up Cliff Bars and getting them out to people, but cases of water, just all kinds of stuff they give away. And they've given us flowers. They've given us lawn chairs to donate, cases of water. Food's beyond belief.
So if that's got you interested in signing up for Keene's 4 on the 4th, you can register at runsignup.com. There is also day of sign up at the event. If you come to this race, you really should bring the trail shoes or hiking boots, a bike, even your kayak, because Keene is a hidden gem for outdoor activities of all types. Your pathway to that adventure is the extensive rail trail network that Pathways for Keene has spent more than 3 decades developing. The Pathways for Keene website is a great resource for trail information before your trip. The website even has an interactive map with points of interest and parking locations for trail access. Now, I'm going to show you 6 great adventure spots in town, 3 of them right off the rail trails. Let's start from downtown using the Cheshire Rail Trail North going west from downtown. This leads you to our first stop, Stonewall Farm. This is a nonprofit agricultural center with some great single-track trails that you can hike, walk, or bike for free. These trails all lead back to the center or the rail trail, so you're not too likely to get lost in here. Hop back on the Cheshire Rail Trail and keep going northwest, and between Hurricane Road and the Keene Transfer Station, you'll run into the Food Network trails. There's also a parking area for these trails off Summit Road just past the Keene Family YMCA. You can access the Food Network trails from there using the Amy Brown Trail. Take Summit Ridge Drive around the corner from the parking area. It's called Food Network because each trail has a foodie name like Wavy Gravy, Ribbon Candy, and Jalapeno Popper. These are some great single-track trails with easier paths on the lower sections and some challenging climbs and technical features higher up on the hills. These trails are not really well marked with signage. Entrances and exits just kind of appear as you go along the trail. A great resource for Food Network is the New England Mountain Bike Association, NIMBA, website in the Trails section. There you'll find an embedded interactive map from Trail Forks. I'd strongly suggest checking out those maps before biting into Food Network. Really getting deep into the Trail Forks map requires a subscription, but if you're going to be using lots of trails throughout New England, it's worth the money. Back in town, right in the middle of Keene, is a short trail with a really neat water opportunity. The Jonathan Daniels Trail starts in Ashuelot River Park at the intersection of West and Island Streets. You can run or bike this wide gravel and dirt path up to the paved Appelway Trail, or you can bring your kayak and use the trail to access the Ashuelot River. To do that, park in the Mascoma Savings Bank parking lot and carry your boat into the park. Go upstream, above the bridge and waterfall, and you'll find a little put-in area next to the trail. Going upstream from here is usually your best bet for good paddling. Even during low water periods, there's usually enough water to float all the way up to the Route 9 bridge, and even further if you feel like it. To go downstream from the Ashuelot River Park, you'll have to cross the footbridge to get below the falls. Do pay attention if you put in here, since the water can be moving quickly at times. It's not too far of a portage to get the boats to the water whichever direction you go. Probably best with 2 people unless you're used to walking your boat a couple of hundred yards, but this is definitely not car pull-up and put-in access. So that's 3 options for extra adventure using rail trails to get from point to point, and that's one thing that makes the trails so popular.
The city's Parks and Rec department have occasionally had some counters on the trail system, but it's just phenomenal how much usage they're getting. So, our organization raises money for, benches on the side of the trails, or bike repair stations, or pedestrian bridges, or trail expansion, or solar lighting. So we've done an awful lot over the years to just kind of enhance that runner, biker, walker experience on the trails.
I find it to be extremely convenient to be able to pop onto the rail trail and go for miles and miles and miles and not have to deal with traffic and not have to deal with a lot of things that you have to deal with running on the road. And it's so soft and cushy, and it's so well maintained. As a person who has ran basically all of these rail trails from various distances, I think it's probably the most widely used resource for runners around this area.
Now, off the trails, we're exploring north and east of Keene, where there are 3 more outdoor adventure opportunities. Out on East Surrey Road is the 1,000-acre Greater Goose Pond Forest. The 2-mile-long trail looping Goose Pond is pretty flat and pretty easy to hike, so it gets a lot of use. The south parking area is your best bet for getting to the water quickly, or if you're bringing a kayak. The hike to the water is about 0.2 of a mile, slightly uphill. Having a buddy to help you haul boats or having a kayak cart will be helpful here. Adjacent to Goose Pond, just to the south, you'll find the Drummer Hill Trails. This is a series of classic New England rooty, rocky, switchback trails that trail runners and mountain bikers just love. It's also the site of the annual Drummer Hill Trail Running Race, so if you have plans to tackle that event someday, here's a chance for a course preview. It's trails like this that Amanda says make the Keene area a great place for trail runner training.
I think you can find all kinds of trails. You can find buffed out trails. You can find technical trails. You can find elevation. You can find technical. You can find roots and rocks. You can find stream crossings. You can find everything that you're looking for. And I think that's what makes Keene and this whole area really such a destination for trail runners. I did the Vermont 100 last year, and I felt very, very prepared with the amount of elevation and the trails and everything. I mean, we have Mount Monadnock not too far away from here. I felt very, very well trained just because of the accessibility that we have to, like I said, all the trails that have so much to offer for different training.
Parking for Drummer Hill is limited and holidays could be busy, but Fuller Elementary School is just around the corner on Elm Street. Simple enough to park there and walk back to the trailhead. One quick note about Drummer Hill and Food Network that we discussed earlier. These trail systems make extensive use of private property. The landowners graciously allow users access, and they work closely with organizations like NIMBA to maintain those trails. If you see a trail posted as closed, please don't enter, and also please pack out what you pack in. Finally, back closer to downtown, you have Robin Hood Park. It features a small trail network that is so wooded and windy that you'll forget you're right in the middle of town. There's also a playground for the kids, and one of the city pools is also there. Now back to the star of the show, the Rail Trail Network. Bring a bike and take your exploration all over Keene and even further. These trails are wide, with paved sections in the city and mostly hard-packed gravel as you leave the city center. They are very well maintained, and they go on for miles. In fact, Pathways for Keene and other trail organizations work all the time to improve and expand the network.
We partner with so many organizations like the New Hampshire Rail Trails Coalition, Pathways for Keene. We have the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Council here in the city. And so within city limits, our rail trails will connect outside to outlying towns like Westmoreland or Troy and Swansea. And inevitably, we're going to get to Winchendon, Massachusetts, and expand these to Hinsdale and Brattleboro. So you're going to be able to get to a lot of places from these rail trails, and people are already coming to this region for that experience.
You can't talk about Keene and the Monadnock region without mentioning Mount Monadnock. The 3,000-foot peak is about 25 miles southwest of Keene in Jaffrey, New Hampshire. It is said to be the second most frequently climbed mountain in the world after Mount Fuji in Japan. There are numerous trails to the summit of varying degrees of difficulty. The Monadnock State Park website is your best resource for information on hiking there. And that's just one of several hiking opportunities in the region.
Yeah, there's never a dull moment. I mean, you can literally go on All Trails app and look up an insurmountable amount of trails. I mean, during COVID, that time, my husband and I literally almost every other day found new trails to go on and hike. And it was amazing because they were only maybe a half hour from here. And when you go on those trails, you feel like you're in a totally different area. And it's just a half hour from where we live. So I think that's just what makes this region, this area, so special.
This region does have a lot to offer, and monadnocknh.com is a great resource to help you find region-wide opportunities. This site features this really helpful interactive map. It shows you where different types of attractions are located, and you can click right there on links to the other sites for more information. Everything from winter sports to golf to arts and culture. Arts, entertainment, great dining, all abound in the region. Downtown Keene has lots to offer in those areas too. Main Street features the historic Colonial Theater, home of both live shows and film. There are many shops and restaurants also. Central Square at the top of Main Street with its gazebo and war memorial gives a classic New England hometown feel. The 1995 Robin Williams film Jumanji was largely shot in Keene, some of it right here on Main Street. This mural commemorating the film is one of 16 murals around town celebrating Keene's history. The murals were painted by the group The Wall Dogs with lots of local artist support back in 2019. In Railroad Square, where the race starts and ends, there's a kiosk with info on the murals and a map so you can plan a walking tour to see them all. So there's plenty to see and do besides those running, cycling, and hiking adventures. It's that wide range of opportunities that Ted says makes people want to visit the area, and some of them want to stay even longer.
I see people in my store all the time that I ask them where they're from. They point to a map and say, well, let's just drive to this little town called Keene and see what that's all about. And, you can't get here from there. It's kind of this lost little gem in the Monadnock region. But Chad, I have had numerous people come and visit this town and end up moving here because they just loved what we have to offer.
I hope you'll consider going to Keene and running 4 on the 4th. I also hope you'll stick around and try some of the other adventures I've shown you here. If you do, tell folks you heard about it here on the Race and Explore New England podcast. Remember, Race and Explore New England is your place to discover the races, explore the places, and find your adventure. I'm Chad Nye. I'll see you next time.